So here's my hip camp for the day. I'm up here in the trees. I took a dirt road getting in.
The first thing I do when I look out at a scene is I take my time and let the scene communicate to me. Let me figure out what I love about it and what I might communicate back to someone enjoying a painting. Even if my message I want to communicate is an emotion, I see the subject, but what makes me stop and breathe it in? What is it that moves me with emotion? That's what I want to communicate.
This is Lis Nielsen, artist in the woods. I am back in San Luis Obispo area today, and I'm looking at this scene over here, going down the road from my campsite, and so I'll see what I can do with this today. I actually used a viewfinder, which almost feels like cheating a little bit, but sometimes I do this if I have a hard time figuring it out. And I like this scene a lot. I tried a couple of other things, but this one looks like a really nice lead in. And I was talking about what draws me to paint a scene, and why I would do this one is that there's a sense of mystery here, and I'm guided to the path by the shadows and the beautiful hues along the side. I'm first going to mix up my colors pretty quickly here, hopefully. I start mixing a nice dark green of the oak tree shadows. I'm looking at a grove of oak trees. So I'm mixing the various colors that are in the trees. The shadows will be changing very quickly because I'm painting with late afternoon, early evening light. Hopefully I can chase the light and get it down. I've taken pictures to use back in the studio if I need them. I'm mixing the shadow on the road and the grasses to the side. This is the first trip I'm actually painting at these hip camps, and it's kind of nice because these are areas that are not state parks or any area that you would necessarily see ever, and it takes you off the beaten path. Some of them are really nice, others are so-so. This one is okay, but kind of fun. Just happy to be here. I continue mixing tree colors. Trees are generally dark with varying value planes. They are mostly dark because they are the upright form. My tree greens are mixed with varying amounts of my yellows, viridian green, and ultramarine blue. I also add bits of cad red and alizarin into my greens. Always remember your light source when mixing colors, its temperature and direction as it falls on objects in the landscape. I've got some shadows that go across the road in this direction, and I want to get the shadows in first, of course, because they're going to be leaving first. I didn't tone my canvas this time, so my brush doesn't move across it as smoothly, and I'll need to make sure I fill in all the white canvas spots with paint. Also, there may be some correlation between toning and how much thick paint I use, at least for me personally. are some light, warm, and mid-greens in the road, and I love the way the sun hits the background plants here and there. The late afternoon light seems to glow and warm up the colors. The light at this time of day is just enchanting. I like these more wild scenes in nature, ungroomed mostly, beautiful and enjoyable to paint. You'll notice that I hold the brush lightly in my hand and just let it dance on the canvas, trying to channel the way the natural plants have grown. If you get out and paint like I have been doing, you will inevitably get so much better at this. Painting outside, painting from nature is the way to improve your skills. So do this whenever you get the chance. You should be balancing it with your studio work. Take your small studies that you're doing, take them into the studio as a reference. You'll be improving by leaps and bounds. I have my paper towels behind me, but it's giving me a chance to step back and take a look at this abstract view I've got going on right now. Now I'm mixing color for the tree trunks, and I see them a bit reddish in tone, very dark. I'll be painting in the shadows of those trunks. And I want to make sure I don't draw them in with even spaces between. I'll get the more bold ones, the ones that are closer in first, and the colors shift some on the trunks from one to another. So you'll see me changing the colors just a little bit on these shadows. You see me here altering my brushwork. Sometimes I barely lightly touch the canvas for a thin, light line. Then I'll press down for a darker, thicker line on the trunk. So you can get different effects. You can also turn the brush and get a very thick line. I paint the light and shadow that is behind the trunks across the hill. Next, these are important shadows I'm starting to paint now on the road. They guide the eye, and anytime you're painting important shadows during this time of the day, paint them quickly, as the scene will completely change with the changing light. Today, it would have been so easy to sit back in my chair and relax after my long drive. But had I done that, I would have missed out on a fleeting chance to paint this particular beautiful scene. Every scene is a new experience, even if you revisit the area, because of the variables. There's weather, season, light, time of day, viewpoint. Painting the shadows on the road right now is tricky because there is light on my canvas, but not on the road. So my colors painted will look darker out of the sunlight. something that I've never done in my life. To take off and go to an obscure hip camp. It's not like it's in the backwoods or anything. It's just, I don't know if you know the Highway 1 area that goes down from Big Sur. This is actually down south from there, but it's along the same highway. And if I were to travel north along Highway 1, I would end up in Big Sur and Carmel. Sometimes with these plein air studies, you just don't get it done. But you've got to get enough on the canvas to show the colors you saw
and the shadows and contrast. Those are the parts that a photo so often cannot show. I add details. I use a fine brush at the end for a few of those. Don't give up on your paintings. That's something I learned probably midway through. I just want to say that because so often we get frustrated or embarrassed that something isn't working out. Now, with this painting, I felt that way, and I made a few mistakes in here, but oil painting is nice because you can go back and fix things. But just give your paintings time, and that's what I needed to do here. I did a lot of thinking about this out there, even though I didn't have a lot of time. I planned out which part of the area I wanted to paint, and so I think my plan was good. I didn't do my value sketch, so I think that might have helped. But also I started painting very, very thick. I've added in parts of this, and I want to show you how I went about fixing it. So I did want to give my painting that time that it deserved. Just remember that your first idea that caused you to paint the scene was most likely a good one. I go back to what drew me to the scene, and I think about what I wanted to say in my painting. And if it's not there yet, if my message isn't there yet, that's what I work on, and that's how I finish it off. So I've brought this back to the studio, and the thing about it is I've got a lot of paint on here, layers and layers of paint. You can see it if I go to the side, how thick it is. And I'm just gonna work right over that. It doesn't matter, it's a study. So I want to lighten up the road. I want to put the planes better in the trees. So I started to get it. I want to soften this line here. So these are some of the things I'll be doing. And then I want to put more color into the grasses along in here. And I think that'll help a lot. I have added color here and here, and I've added some lighter color to the road. I have put a little light in here which helped to soften that line. And I've put some other colors in the shadows in here that I like. And now I'll go in and start working on the trees. I'm working on the trunks of the trees now, and I added some color into the shadows on the road, which I will be smoothing out. Okay, so here's the painting after I worked on it. And I think it's greatly improved, actually. It just needed another 15 minutes in the studio. I looked at the photo, and so I did do some modeling of the trees in the background. I examined the colors in the side foliage and put more into that. I worked on the shadow a little bit, and I think it turned out to be a nice study. I softened the edge back in here. I worked on the background some. It really didn't take a lot, and I didn't think it would. I wanted to be finished with it, of course, out there. I worked on the shadows also in here and made sure that they were reading right. But yeah, I think it's okay, and I'm glad that I got to finish this. I did add some color in here into the shadows.
So I just wanted to mention that because I know that's a real big one for me. It is a study, so I will go ahead and work on a larger painting using this and my photo. Thank you for joining me. This is Lis Nielsen, Artist in the Woods, and if you like my videos, I hope you subscribe. Happy painting!